I'm with Dr. Frank Islam, entrepreneur, civic leader and philanthropist, whose work for education and the arts is the stuff of legend by now. Let's get to know the person better in this conversation. First of all, talking about your idea about empowering Indian Muslims through pivot points and education. Why do you feel there's a critical need for that right now?
I have had a lifelong passion and commitment to empowering Indian Muslims and the minorities by education so they can get out of the poverty, they're trapped into the poverty, and education is a powerful equalizer for them to get out of the poverty. Education will give them a dignity and respect. Education empowers the mind, uplifts the soul. Education is the bridge builder, and also education is an opportunity creator. Indian Muslims should not be left behind. If they are left behind, I do not think that India can succeed. They must be active participants in India's shared economic prosperity, and they must be given equal opportunity to succeed. Remember, if Indian Muslims and minorities succeed, which is 400 million people, India will succeed and the world will succeed. So
that's a huge number.
It is. And also, I wanted to make sure that the girls get a good education. They are trapped in the poverty as
For
well.
women, education in India would mean, especially among Indian Muslims, would mean much more than just rising out of poverty. It would mean freedom, perhaps.
You're absolutely right. It also means they will be not confined to four walls of their house. They'll be, when they become a woman, from the girls, they will be able to educate and empower their children to get out of the poverty. And I also believe that we need to make sure that the younger generation understands that that no hope should be high enough for them to achieve, no dream should be large enough for them to achieve. But the most important thing for them to understand that if they become successful, they should also make other people succeed as well.
Who would want to work towards, empowering Indian minorities through education. What would that advice be as somebody who's actually worked that path?
My advice to them will be, it starts from the parents. The parents should educate their children and create an environment for them to excel. And they should also be given opportunity to go to school, and education must be affordable and accessible to them as well. And they need to be told without education, they cannot get ahead. I also believe that they need to also understand that if you cannot get a dignity and respect from other people unless you are empowered with good education. And if you're a talented individual, we need to explore your fullest potential in order for India to achieve its fullest potential.
Right, but when we are talking about education in India, it's not, although we do talk about right to education, it's not that possible for parents, mostly because of poverty. At one point of time, parents think of them as mouths to feed, or hands to work, and that's what they send them for. So what would you say is the solution to that?
Well, first of all, I am a good example of a family that I was born, which was also poor, just like what you described. My parents instilled in us a love and a passion for education. And they made sure that we do our homework in the evening. And if they believe that without education, their children would not be able to get ahead. So it has to start the education aspect from the parents, and the parents needs to make sure that children gets their homework done and get a good education. But
so what you're basically saying, it starts at home, and it starts with a spirit and a passion that is instilled by the parents. So there has to be this kind of an environment.
And also to make sure they understand this, the kids needs to understand from the parents that without education they cannot move ahead of the ladder of the success. So that's something it needs to be told every day that how important it is for them to have a good education. Also, they need to work with other people and give them a dignity and respect also.
Right. Well, and talking about your work for education, what are your future plans in terms of, we've heard that you're planning to open a women's college, women's educational institution in the place where you were born in Azamgarh.
So I was born in Azamgarh, and I hope the people who are listening to this wonderful TV and a wonderful girl that I'm talking to, they also belong to Azamgarh. I never lost love of Azamgarh. So I came here to do several things. First of all, what's best in me I owe to Azamgarh. My parents taught me to educations and the working with other people. So I will be here to inaugurate a girls' school in the hometown that I was born, which bears the name of my mother. I also will inaugurate a health clinic, which bears the name of my wife and I, which is Frank and Debbie Islam Health Clinic. In addition to Azamgarh, as you know, that we have given several $1 million to Aligarh Muslim University, and so we inaugurated 2 years ago Frank and Debbie Islam Management Complex. So we are here to inaugurate the auditorium that will be housed in the Mass Communications Department of Journalism, because we believe strongly in freedom of press and democracy, and also we will be inaugurating in the management complex that bears our name in Aligarh Muslim University, the Innovations and Entrepreneurship Center. That's another thing that the people, Indian Muslim, needs to learn to become an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are made, not born. And make sure that and managers do things right, but the entrepreneurs do right things. So that's an American saying. So, so those are kind of things we're going to be doing when we are here, and that's the purpose of my trip from United States to India.
You'll also be speaking on various issues that concern education among Muslims, empowering minorities. Give us a sense of what you feel is the role of such a center in India, in the world today.
The role of as you know, my speech will be consistent with the mission and goals and objectives of the Islamic Center. Islamic Center in Delhi should be a beacon of hope for not only for Indian Muslim, for all the people of India. So in addition to talk about the education that we talked about empowering, I also will be talking about what will be the pivot points to make India a better place for all of us to live. And I will be talking about the creeds, seeds, and deeds. Those are 3 things I will talk about. The creeds is the important thing is to have interfaith dialogue. We need to get to know the people of other faith and bridge to make sure we understand that we are in this together, and inclusiveness and diversity is a strength to India. And if we are together, we are stronger. When we're stronger, we can build a nation which is a stronger, fairer, just, and tolerant. So interfaith dialogue is a key ingredient of that part. Is we are in this together. The second thing I want to talk about the seeds. Seeds is planting the seeds for the next generations to empower them by education. And the deeds, I'll be talking about that we need to redouble our efforts to get rid of the bigotry and hatred that we have. And we have to be above the angry partisanship in terms of the divisiveness. So those are the things that we will be talking this evening.
Right, and when we talk about the community as a whole, do you feel that there is a certain lack, when we talk about trustworthy leadership within the Muslim community, and how do you think that this can be developed? How important is it, you feel?
Well, there are several types of the leadership. there are the religious leaders. There are the people who are sometimes they're very divisive. And So they need to rise above the angry divisiveness and partisanship. Then there are the role models and the ambassadors there are several entrepreneurs of Indian Muslims origin, and the Bahara community is a good example. They have done very well because they help each other, they support each other. And the leadership lacks in this country in terms of the Indian Muslims. There are a lot of wonderful Indian Muslims that have made a mark in India. But they need to understand, and I would hope they will, to make sure that they make the other people to successful. It's not the individual's accomplishment, but it's the accomplishment of the other people who can be successful. The last aspect is that we need to also make sure that the people of different faith and different religion and different background and belief can come together and work with the Indian Muslims or the minorities to ensure that they become successful, to ensure that they give them the opportunity to succeed, and also to make sure that they empower them with education and helps them through the darkest times. And we have to do the one individual, one family at a time. And we need to extend, and the people who have the means and the money and mobility, to extend their hand, their hope, their help, their heart to those who are socially, economically disadvantaged, to those who are poor, to those who are underprivileged, and empower them with education and opportunity, and make sure they become successful.
And finally, a word about your visit to India this time. How has it been so far, and what lies ahead?
Well, I'm not a good in predicting the future. If I did, I will be...
No, in terms of plans, your agenda for the days ahead in the
country.
country.
So I came here, I think about 5 days ago, and I've been very busy with interviews and also with the speeches. We were just in Lucknow a couple of days ago, and I gave a speech at La Martiniere College, which is a girls' college, and because I really believe in girls' educations, and because we have not exploited their fullest potential, and we need to make sure that the women know they have a very important and significant role to play, and there are not that many entrepreneurs in the Indian women, so we need to encourage them to become an entrepreneur, and look at the role model of Indira Gandhi, who was the first Prime Minister of India, who was a woman. We don't have a woman in the United States as a President of the United States, so those are good role models. Indira Nooyi, who's the chairperson of the Pepsi Cola, who just retired for Indian origin. There's several people like that. And then I met the governor, and then I went to several other places to talk about the education's empowerment, to attend some events. Tomorrow we will be traveling to Meghalaya, is that the way you pronounce it? Yeah, and I'm going to be giving a speech next day for the convocation for University of Science and Technology and Management. And the next day we fly to Purnia, Bihar, and I will be giving a speech there. Then we come back over here, then we go to Aligarh Muslim University for the inauguration of the Entrepreneurship Innovation Center and the auditorium, and also give a speech there. And then come back and then go to Varanasi, which is the home city, which is, I treasure it because it is always lingers in my mind, has never faded away from my memory. And this is where I learned how to work with the people of different faiths, because we had a shared responsibility and shared sacrifices.
So all in all, how would you describe your visit to India this time?
Well, it has been educational. I'm a kind of person who wants to listen and learn and understand it. And when I go back, I will I will cherish my memories and see what can be done. One of the ideas, somebody gave it to me, and I think we need to explore that because India diaspora can help India to achieve its fullest potential, is the skill development centers that I think we need, because of the employment situations, because we do not have a job in India and we have a lot more younger people who wants to have a job, but we do not have a job opportunity for them. So the idea will be to create a skills development center in the area of Varanasi and Azamgarh and some other places. Bangalore has it, and so that's something that I want to take it back for the employment and also the skill development that we can create here to have a better opportunity for the younger generations, because they are the hope of tomorrow. They can change the landscape of the world and the landscape of India. They are the promise and potential of India. And we want to make sure that we will be in a safe hand when they take it over.
Well, Dr. Islam, it was wonderful speaking with you and to listen to all your views and ideas. Thank you so much for joining us
You're most
today.
welcome.
Well, that was Dr. Frank Islam. As we were telling you, entrepreneur, civic leader and philanthropist who's here in India once again to continue with his work for education, for growth and development among Indian Muslims. And we wind up this discussion for now. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.